us what you felt was the kind of discussion that we had. What was the direction that we are going to? Just please brief us, Kushi.
Oh, okay. So you have decided to identify 1,000 people who have a mediator mindset, and then your plan is to teach them also to how to identify other 1,000 people who have a mediation mindset. So you are trying to create a community and trying to spread mediation worldwide.
Because that is but if 2.5 hours of our sitting there talking, this is what we came out with. 2.5 hours, and I think it was more than that. It was almost 3 hours
Two
of all.
hours 45 minutes.
Very good. Look at the concept being yes. The fact is that we have to identify people with the mediator mindset, and each of us have to do it, and each of us then after that have to get those 1,000 in. So I am doing my 1,000, you do your 1,000. That's how we have to go about it. But the high actually there's no. I'm telling you, you said teaching. Let's not say teaching. It's because I'm telling you, you actually, if you are that kind of person, you can easily yourself gauge the other person. So you don't really need to be taught anything at all. So it's like, first of all, identification of the mediator mindset, according to me, is the biggest thing. So the meeting that we had on Tuesday on peer mediation, did you have a look at that?
No, no, I haven't.
Ryan, did you? Have you seen any of the videos?
I saw clips of the latest one as it went live, I think, but I haven't watched any of them in full as of yet.
Which one was it?
But I understand the concept of peer mediation.
Did you see that video? That peer mediation, you didn't see the whole thing.
No, not the whole thing.
Okay. So because actually what happened is that, of course, in the US, you have a structured approach to peer mediation. So you have everything going there. We are looking at the whole country, the whole world as what we have to reach out to. So the numbers are huge. So we were looking at the numbers that day. They're about 200. I mean, talking about India, okay, statistics, you can search for statistics for any country. India, it says there are 250 million students. Okay. 250 million students. 2.5 million schools. Right? So now this is the reach that you have to get. Now, reach is not going to come from training people, is what people were talking about, no, training and everything. It's never going to come. 250 million students. How are you going to train them on the batches of 30 or 20? 5,000 years will take to do that. So what we discussed there was that what we basically say to the teachers, we send out a communication, which can obviously be spread to the students and the parents. What is mediation? What is the role of a mediator? So just that much. Once they know what mediation is and what the role of a mediator is, then from their side, they within the school with the students, they tell them to identify people who fit into that, because they're already playing that role in schools, or in, I'm saying in society in general, in communities. There are some people who are playing the role of a mediator all the time. They don't have to be taught anything. They have the mindset. If you have the mindset, you just don't have the words, you don't have the theory next to it. You don't, the person doesn't know the terminology batna vatna and all. He doesn't know that. It doesn't matter. How does the theory matter to us? Is the person being able to do the process? So in the school environment, so Dhruv, what do you think? In your school or in your class or whatever, is there someone you can identify
Sorry,
and say that
I
this
did not
person,
hear the last line. What is my school?
you get your network proper? Yeah, is this the way you attend classes? It will be very tough for you because your voice cracks up.
No, sir. Actually, I have exhausted my daily limit of the data for the college lectures itself.
Hmm. Okay, so you've gone down to the basic speed.
Yeah, sir.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, we won't talk to you. You just listen. I'll put you on mute right now because your voice cracks up. Both of us, or three of us are talking. You just listen. Okay, if you have something to say, type it out, or we'll get you in
Yeah, no
because
problem.
otherwise it'll take too long. Okay, I'll just mute you right now. Okay. So basically, what we are saying is that Kushi, you tell me, in your class or in your school or whatever, is there some person or people you can identify and say these people are people I can say that yes, they have that mediator mindset. They help people resolve things. Are there people you can identify in your mind right now?
Not right now, sir, because I haven't met someone or been in a class for like it's been a
Okay,
while since
ma'am,
I've
in
been
your
at class.
5,000 years that you've lived on this planet, have you ever met anyone like that?
Uh, I can't just like get a name in my head right now. Like I
Do
need to
you
think
fit
for
into?
some time. Then
Okay,
I
let's for a
maybe.
moment. Do you think that you have fit into that?
Yeah, I feel like I haven't had the practical experience yet,
No,
but
no,
I feel I
practical.
can do it
What do you mean
to
practical?
some
Within your
extent.
friends, the simple, the gauge is simple. Within your friends, do
Hmm.
they say that okay, let's just talk to Khushi. She'll help us find a solution, and she'll help us resolve our dispute. They won't use the word for resolve our dispute because that's not the terminology that you use as kids.
Yeah,
But do they look at Khushi as someone they can go to and they can talk to and they can explain their issue? Do they look at that you as that?
yeah, sir. I like if they have a problem, they like come to me and they talk it out with me, and I then console them and I tell, okay, this is I think this you can do something like that. So it doesn't count as mediation. It counts more as a conciliation. I feel because I give them advice and like they come talk to me
Okay,
stuff
now
like
what we
that.
have to first of all decide that let us not confuse ourselves by using mediation and conciliation. For a moment, let's go by
Okay.
what the Singapore Convention says. Singapore Convention defines mediation. So, Ryan, what does the Singapore Convention say? How does it define mediation?
Oh, the Singapore Convention, I read it on your website the other day. It basically defines mediation as a process through which reconciliation can be made, and it's not about everybody walking away happy fundamentally. It's about everybody coming to a consensus, a state of being in which they're able to kind of basically bringing everybody to a point where they'll maybe not be happy, but they'll be okay kind of going along with.
Okay, so look, the Singapore Convention doesn't get into all these things.
Okay.
Singapore Convention gives a basic definition of what the convention, basically what mediation is supposed to be. So what we'll do is let's just read it. Let's just read the actual text because it's important. Read it. It takes 1 minute because the text that the official text has various languages in it. So I have to reach the English part. Okay. One sec. Okay. Let us now see what is mediation. Okay, then this problem is that this is a little small. Let's read it like this. Okay, read this now. Can you read this?
Mm-hmm.
Read it now.
Settlement agreement
No,
is
no, below that. Mediation. Mediation means a process.
Process, irrespective exemption
No,
used.
irrespective of the expression used.
I'm sorry. Irrespective of the expression used, or the basis upon which the process is carried out, whereby parties attempt to reach an amicable settlement of their dispute with the assistance of a third person or persons, aka the mediator, lacking the authority to impose a solution upon the parties in dispute.
Okay, so this is how simply that this is. Let's work with this definition. Why I'm saying so is because conciliation, mediation, as we know it, both fit into this. So there is no reason for us in our discussion right now because there is a difference in India in terms of mediation and conciliation. We can definitely discuss that aspect because it might not be relevant to you, Ryan, because obviously your law is different and we have a different law. We have a very good law. I mean, we have the ideal law that any country could ask for in terms of mediation. So I'll tell you the reason for that. But the fact is that the whatever name you give it, main thing is that the person does not have the authority to impose a solution. Impose. The key word is impose. In conciliation, the person can suggest. In our law, in conciliation, the conciliator can suggest. Okay, there is a pure concept of mediation that they talk about, the facilitative mediation, that the mediator should not even suggest. Then there is the evaluative concept that the mediator may suggest. So those are the kind of differences that people create as an academic exercise. Let them keep doing that. From our side, a mediator is sitting in a situation where he has to try and get resolve the help the party resolve what he does, how he does it. Let's not get into that part. Main thing is that let's not at all confuse ourselves in terms of this mediation conciliation debate. I'll tell you about, Ryan, why I will the India perspective I'll give you, but the India perspective comes later. What is the situation in the US in terms of mediation?
It really all depends on the state you live in. Some states have certain licensing procedures around mediation, some don't. A lot of the more progressive coastal states, for example, the West Coast states, the New England states, Hawaii, they have it integrated at the state government level where you can actually become a state employee, be a mediator for the state government, and where a lot of times the legal systems will kind of push people towards mediation or arbitration before they're allowed to go to full litigation into the court system. So it really all depends on what
No, but I
state
think,
you're in.
okay, Ryan, what you really have to check, because what is happening is that there is some confusion there. There is the court appointed mediators in states.
Mm-hmm.
There is those are regulated how they become what they're supposed to do. Private mediation, where a person is not connected to the court at all, is there anything regulating that?
Again, it depends entirely on the state that you live in. I know the state of Texas, where I have a few relatives, they have virtually no regulation other than a basic sort of a certification. After that, you can go on and found your own
No,
practice or
no,
get
no,
on
you
board with
check this out,
another.
Ryan. I want you to check this out, because what happens is that in these discussions, you say that, but according to me, private mediation is not regulated anywhere. I'll tell you why. Because what is mediation? You have an accident on the road. One person comes down and tries to help you resolve that. Are you going to say first you show me a certification, your qualification, then you can start helping us? You have a property dispute within your family. Your uncle is called. Why don't you help us settle? Are you going to ask for qualifications and certifications? Not going to happen. So mediation is happening all the time. There is no qualification certification. So I think from our side, I think people are either not aware of the law in most places. So I'm not saying that you're incorrect in what you're saying. We can find out. So I want you to find out, because according to me, private mediation as is not regulated in the US. It is only the state. Look, that there's a training that there's a court annexed system that you have. There's a training required. Then you get annexed to that, and you have a whatever registration there. Then you are regulated by that law. But if you move out of that system, is there a regulation? And I'll have a look at it. I want you to have a look at it. I'm not saying I know. I'm saying that let's put it out for discussion,
Sure.
because I tell you why I'm not putting that. Normally I put all my meetings, make them live on YouTube. I'm not putting it here because a lot of things you might not know, and if we put out wrong information, it is going to be worse. So we should actually we'll check it out. So this is something, Ryan, you're going to put in as a point in for yours, that what is the situation, legal structure. First of all, look at the uniform mediation law that has been put out to the states to adopt. Some states have, some states have not. So look at the uniform law. Then look at,
Mm.
you start with one state. Say you look at Texas, and you can talk about. What I'll do is, there is someone who comes in from Tennessee. There's someone who comes from Ohio, so we can talk to them about the law. They are obviously practicing mediators, so we can talk to them. There are people from all parts of the US who come in for meetings, so let's talk to them. But those are the other meetings. Those are the meetings of the International Mediators Collective. So you people why I'm not putting you part. I'm not trying to make a combined thing, because your discussions are different. You are
Sure.
still finding out things. Those discussions are different because those basics, they already the factual position and all, they know. So we are not going to make any statement at all without cross-checking the position. Now, Kushi will tell us what the legal situation in India is. Kushi, what is the legal situation in India?
Sir, private mediation is not regulated in India. We have mediation, court annexed mediation, where the court appoint mediators for us, like for the cases. And that's it. I mean, like, what else do we have?
Okay, so that's where the problem lies. Now we are not educated, no, on our own system also. Okay, let me tell you what the situation. Dhruv, you want to come in? You think you can? Your signal is good enough for you to come in? Well,
Is my voice cracking, sir? Is
it's
it
okay
still
right now.
cracking?
It's okay right now.
No, sir. I would agree with Khushi. I don't know. I mean, I'm not aware of any other kind of regulations related to mediation.
Perfect. So that means basically, whenever this is a good thing, whenever you feel that you don't know, just say I don't know.
Yeah.
It is going to be much better. That way, learning process will happen. And Kushi, I think you keep yourself unmuted. When I see your thing muted now, then I do. Okay. Then
Okay.
this is not a problem. I'll mute you if there's an issue. Okay.
My
So let's now
mom is
look
on
at.
the phone next to me. That is why.
So now let's look at the Indian situation. In India, mediation word, where does it come in? And where's the conciliation come in? I'm not going to go to every act. I want to get into Companies Act and the POSH and all those things. I won't get into those. Now let's look at the Civil Procedure Code, the Arbitration and Conciliation Act. Let's just look at two acts. Okay, Ryan, if you whatever you can ask questions on this, but I'm just telling you, we have a Civil Procedure Code which applies to all the matters which are in the court. Okay. Then there we have something called the Arbitration and Conciliation Act, which the link is on my website. You can have a look at that. Now I know why she wants to be muted. I mute you. Okay. So basically, what happens is that for the court-related system, there is a process which we will not discuss because we are not concerned with that at all. So I am only concerned with you can look at it. I can tell you what the situation is, but why discuss something that I'm not going to get into? So let's look at private mediation. Now in the Arbitration and Conciliation Act, it says that the arbitrator's duty, because there are two sections to it. One is the arbitration section, one is the conciliation section. So in the arbitration section, it says it is the arbitrator's duty to try and see if the parties can settle the dispute through mediation, conciliation, or any other method. So there are two words used there, mediation and conciliation. Okay. Now we move to the section on conciliation. So the whole section very nicely put as to how that conciliation process has to happen. So have a look at the act. The section numbers you can start. I think it's 60. What is the roof? You remember what section does conciliation
I
start?
don't know, sir. No.
Okay, we'll have a look. We'll open that out. So basically, something I think it's about 63 or 64, whatever section that onward. You don't have to get in look at the arbitration section right now. I'll tell you where you have to look at the arbitration section. So there is a difference which was understood between mediation and conciliation. Difference, and I won't say according to me because whatever I say is according to me only. So I won't use the word according to me when I say anything. So in terms of that difference is mediation is an informal process which is not regulated at all, which is parties free to do anything, but at the same time, the confidentiality and the without prejudice aspect is not protected by law. So it is for the parties to decide. If you don't want confidentiality, I'll take confidentiality without prejudice will come with it. I'll just use the word confidentiality. So if you want confidentiality to be protected, you go into conciliation. So under law, which is a uniform law for the country, unlike US, you have a problem that every state comes out with a law. So
Yeah.
entire country, conciliation, the confidentiality and without prejudice is protected. You can't ask for better. You can't ask for better in a country. So that means if you want to protect that, come under conciliation. So there is a process in that. Why do you come under a law? What is the reason to come under a law? Because it says when they talk about standards for a mediator. So what is it? Independence and impartiality is what the act talks about. Why is it necessary? Because definitely when the settlement agreement has to come in for enforcement, there is going to be people will say that okay, easily this guy was not independent. He'll come out with some story. So first of all, independence is clear. In mediation, independence is not an issue. Your uncle is not independent, but he can still be a mediator. No one can stop the person. It is because in that process, it is for the parties to decide. They want an independent person. They don't want an independent person. They want a neutral person. They don't want a neutral person, because neutral word is not used in our act, and which is good. Because I mean, of course, Ken Cloak is coming on Saturday. I heard him somewhere on his clip on his website. He has put a little audio clip there where he does talk about the fact that you may not be neutral, but you can still be unbiased. So slowly, what we have to develop is a situation where can neutrality be removed and the fact of independent, the person being independent being removed, and finally, are we left with impartiality and being unbiased? Is that all there is a requirement for a mediator? Interesting thing. We can discuss that. So, but that will come to later. So the law by itself puts down the there's no qualification that you have to have this degree or this certain. No, just the fact is that you have to be independent and impartial. That is what the requirement is. Then it gives the whole process. How the process is going to go, what the person has the conciliator has to do. The interesting and the good part is at the end of that, if a settlement agreement is signed, that settlement agreement is as good as a arbitral award, which is a consent award. As good. Okay, now you have to remember why as good. I will tell you why as good, but I will tell you that later. First, once it is as good as an arbitral award in India, if you only Indian perspective I'm talking, then it is as good as a court decree. So the act is very nicely saying you go through the route of being as good as a consent award to become a court decree. It could have said that the settlement agreement is a court decree. Why did they not say that? Because under the arbitration section, the part that deals with arbitration, the arbitral award can be set aside for certain reasons. And what are the reasons? You can have a look at the act. So there is, I think, fraud, coercion, against public policy, all those things. So it is not direct that if I sign a settlement agreement today under the Conciliation Act, under the conciliation section, and I go to court, I want to enforce it, court doesn't automatically have to enforce it. Court has to look at all the criteria given under the Arbitration Act as to what are the reasons that an arbitral award can be set aside, and then test out the settlement agreement against that, and then only enforce it. So a kind of a measure has been put in between that, so that of course supposing there is a fraud in the situation, and in that situation, can you say that enforcement has to be done? It will be wrong. So everything has been put out so well. It's an ideal situation. The only thing, okay, there is also, I've put the UNCITRAL model law that on mediation that has come out. Have a look at that. So you people, now this is your homework. Have a look at the uniform law that has been put out. I put the link there. Look at the conciliation section of our Arbitration and Conciliation Act. Of course, where it refers to the consent award section, that how it becomes, I think section 30 it refers to. Have a look at that section 30 from the arbitration part, but otherwise don't confuse yourself with the arbitration portion, but we're not concerned with that. So have a look at that, have a look at the Singapore Convention, and have a look at the model law, all three. Then what we have to look at is what are the things missing in our Arbitration and Conciliation Act. In the conciliation section, what is missing? One thing that I saw was it said that a mediator cannot be an arbitrator,
Hmm.
which is an interesting thing because this is a whole discussion happening these days, MEDAB, and whether the mediator can then move into being arbitrator, and also interesting discussion happening. But the model law is already talking about that. So have a look at that part. And when we discuss, let's discuss with the facts and the law with us. So Ryan is going to do is he's going to look at the US situation, and he's going to figure out that is there a law at all to regulate private mediation, and what is that law? You start with Texas. Don't go into other states. We'll get the other state information, not a problem. So you just look at Texas, that if you today you want to be a private mediator, is there a requirement? Because what I can do is, let me play you a clip from my website, because differently you guys are busy people. You don't you go through my website, but I will play a video from the January 2021 part of it, the playlist that I've made. Ryan, have you seen the playlists?
I beg your pardon.
I have put various playlists on my YouTube channel. Have you seen those?
I've seen a few videos, but I didn't see the playlists. No.
Oh, that playlist has tens of videos. I've put all kinds, what people have done all over the world. They've done such good work. Why should we not use that? So I will just play one part. It's a small thing, that's why I'm playing it here. This guy's from the US. I really liked his way of going about it. You hear? Not here. Cannot hear?
No, sir.
Yeah, the audio, yeah, it's not coming in.
Not a problem. Let me check why it's not coming in. Okay, let's try and play it on this one. Laptop. 1 second. So anyway, I'll keep get it out. So have you been able to understand your homework?
Yes, sir.
So what is it going to be,
Hmm.
Dhruv? What are you going to check?
We'll have to check your playlist first, and then we'll have to
No,
go
no,
through
not my
the.
playlist. No, no, not my
Oh,
playlist. Your job is our Arbitration and Conciliation Act, the Singapore Convention, and the UNCITRAL Model Law on Mediation. All three links are there in the on my website. Right?
we'll do that. Yeah, yeah.
Any
Okay, sir.
Kushi, you to know everything, yeah? To tell us what it says.
I don't know, sir. How will I know?
I thought you know everything.
No, no.
There are things you don't know. That is interesting. So this was serious discussion. So now tell me, Ryan, what has your experience been with mediation?
Well, I was first exposed to mediation in graduate school. I studied at the University of Queensland. I got my postgraduate degree in peace and conflict studies.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a compulsory course as part of my postgrad program to take a mediation course. And it was a 5-day intensive, with modules, simulations, the whole thing, based on the facilitative model of mediation.
Facilitative. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
that's what is pushed through. What do you think about that? Do you think facilitative is that you have to stick to that? What is your view on that?
I mean, I did read on other models of mediation and other models of ADR, arbitration and conciliation, things like that, obviously from the more Anglo perspective, Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, all that sort of thing. But I do think, based on what I have read in my studies, was that the facilitative model is, at the very least, quite flexible. It can be kind of adjusted to fit a number of situations. Particularly in different, shall we say, cultural contexts.
Mm-hmm. Because I don't know, this is one thing which is obviously a discussion point, and there'll be both sides to it. Because the way I look at it is that when you're sitting in a mediation, what is your objective? That you want to just help the parties settle. Now, when you're sitting there, when are you going to keep asking yourself, am I now moving out of the facilitative mode? Am I becoming evaluative? So are you going to be thinking at this time? Which sport do you play? Ryan, do you play any sport?
No, I have a physical handicap, so I don't play sports.
What kind of
I follow a few sports, but I've never played myself.
What kind of physical handicap?
I have cerebral palsy in my left leg.
Okay, so there's nothing else that there's no. I mean, hands and all are okay.
Yeah.
So and no sport. What about shooting or something? Can you do shooting?
I have shot. I'm not a prolific shooter, but I've fired a rifle a few times in my day.
Well, I'm just thinking that, look, why I'm giving you the sport example is because when you're playing a sport, at that point of time, if you start thinking of one thing, then you screw up some other thing. I get tell people from the golf perspective because I play golf. If you when you're on the golf course and you're on that golf swing, everything happens in a split second. The whole movement of the club. Now, if I put my mind onto my leg, is my leg moving in the right way? My entire movement will get screwed because it has to come as a flow. So at that point of time, you can't be thinking, which according to me, every sportsman has to go through when you're playing tennis, or say in your case, if you were shooting or something else. I mean, I'm sure there's sports that I can't think of whatever, but maybe some sports that you can play that at that point of time, your whole concentration is on what your target is. In shooting, let's do the shooting example. You're looking at your target and you have to get that bullet into that target. That's your focus. If in that second, it's a split second when you have to press the trigger. At that point of time, if you say, oh, is my hand okay? Am I standing okay? Is my weight okay? That when you push that trigger, that whole concentration on the target will go. So if it's very important, according to me, when you're in a mediation, your target is that settlement should happen. If you start thinking,
Right.
I have to now hold myself back. Oh, no, I'm becoming evaluative. No, I was told in my training that I have to stay facilitative. Then it becomes, I think it's not a right thing on the parties also, because they've called you in to help them settle the dispute. They did not go for your training. They were not told that, okay, Ryan can only go this much and not more. They were not told all that. I mean,
Right.
it's something that, according to me, what is happening is that the user is on a different track altogether, and the people who are being trained and how they've been trained on a different track. The user not consider whether okay, in say in certain markets there is the awareness of training and certification and everything. I'm looking at from the Indian perspective that right now people don't know what are the various certification available in the world, all that. Where we'll be educating them, but do they need to have that? If you can find the people with the right mindset, and because why the whole concept of mediation, what can go against the parties? At the end of the day, they might not settle. That's the worst that can
Right.
happen. But in the case, if the person is not even used at all, just because you don't have people, because we don't have people. I was telling you numbers. Okay, Ryan, what you have to tell me is how many people do you think, what is the population of India?
Population of India?
Yeah.
Close to, it hovers around 1 billion, doesn't it, at this point?
Yeah, it's 1.3 billion. 1.3 billion. Okay. Right. And we want now, I tell you, if you had gone through that meeting, you would have heard this, but I'll repeat it. WHO says there should be one doctor for 1,000, every 1,000 people. I'm saying it's the same
Oh,
for
wow.
it's the same for mediators, because it's the same thing. I mean, I think maybe more people have more disputes than they have diseases.
Fair enough.
So okay, I'm just saying, okay, let's equate. Let's say 1,000. So if for
Sure.
every 1,000 people, if I need a mediator, how many mediators do I need, Ryan, in the country?
If you've got 1 billion people and you need one mediator for every 1,000, oh boy, what would it be? A little over 100, wouldn't it?
It's about 1.3 million. 1.3 million.
Oh my.
Okay. So now if I have to get 1.3 million people out there, can I go even think of training? So what I did was I made playlists on my YouTube channel. And this is obviously people have already done this work. These are videos made by other people. I have not made those videos. It's already there for public to see. But I've just collated it, put it under categories. So what I want is that people should actually go out, just go through it, because if this series that I'm doing, this evolution of a mediator series, you will notice that Ken Cloak says that he was a judge, and one day he just went for a mediation training, and suddenly that thing came, oh, this is what I want to do. Now that those 1.3 million people will never get a chance to go for any training. So how do they realize? So I said, okay, let's starting point is at least not for 1.3 million, but at least for the people who can access the YouTube channel, on my channel or anywhere else, they should at least get exposed to what the basics, what are people talking about in terms of mediation. That interest should come in. So that is one starting point. But that is also not good enough, because obviously it is just going to be someone watching something, but how does it translate into in their own life? They have to become aware that, yeah, you are a mediator. You don't have to become a mediator. You are a mediator. So I'm trying to put that through, because this was the one student only, she had sent me a message saying, one day I want to be a mediator. I said, who says you're not a mediator today? What is that? How do you tell yourself you're not a mediator today? How will you become one? It is realizing you are one. So I'm saying, say, Ken Cloak situation, we'll talk to him about, obviously, about that. But the realization that, oh, I want to do this is different. Realization that you are one is what is important. So I want people out there. So what we did, again, now you guys obviously should not, I should not even be talking to you people, because those videos that I put, the meetings that we had, you should have gone through it, because we had a very interesting discussion on Tuesday on peer mediation when we were talking about it. Look, I was obviously in terms of statistics and everything talking about India, because it's just an example. You can pick up the statistics for any country, but this thing about 260 million children, 2.5 million schools, this is Indian statistics. Huge numbers,
Wow.
Ryan. Huge numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, the number of children that we have is about the same as your population.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
interesting.
sounds about right.
Yeah, so interesting. But So now what the point was that the person was there. This is a government organization called Gandhi Smriti. Gandhi, Gandhi?
Yes, Mahatma Gandhi. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very
So,
familiar.
and Smriti means in remembrance of. So this whole organization is set up by the government to propagate the values of Gandhi. So they have funding, they have the reach all over the country. So this person who's part of that organization has actually been able to understand what I've been telling him in terms of the vision, larger vision. So that aspect of it, they're taking through. So what we discussed there basically was that go out, tell the children about mediation. What is mediation? And like I just told you, I'll repeat what I just earlier said. Tell them about mediation, tell them what a role of a mediator is. Let them from their side come out with those people whom they think fit into that mindset. The children are the best judge of the children that they are interacting with. Now you've got a pool. So that pool now can be put into a certain look. The point is that to say that every school should have a mediation center, we discussed that aspect also, because India is huge and very diverse, and there are schools which don't have buildings also. They're
Oh
sometimes
wow.
sitting under trees or whatever. So we have to look at the entire concept. Then where there are infrastructure, where there is infrastructure available, there you can do whatever you want. But I am saying target that remote village, and in that remote village, how do we push this whole message out that you have to identify these people and help work with them, let them help you resolve your disputes at the school level.
Hmm.
Now the children get their experience at the school level. They are out, they are obviously also going out into the community. They're also living in a community. So what they do is they start doing the same thing within the community, because the, the experience is there, the confidence is there. So they start talking to their elders. So at least they start what obviously this is a word, I mean, I'm sure it's used otherwise. I say we have to spread the culture of mediation.
Sure.
And why we have to start from there is like what I started off from what I said, that the political situation in every country, we'll get into that discussion and we won't be able to move beyond that. But
Sure.
if we focus on promoting the culture of mediation, it's a very positive thing that we are doing. So negativity will not come in at all.
Mm.
Okay, so to start with, for a moment, we say that we need, supposing 2.5 million students out there who have that mindset. Now, when
Hmm.
these people will move as they grow, of course, initially they'll be in school, but definitely they're going to get out into college and they're going to come out in the workplace. It will happen over 10 years, maybe. Say, for a moment, if
Hmm.
I start with a child at 10 years, because we had that discussion, that's why it was important that you people should have seen it, because we had experienced people who were doing peer mediation. The concept was that at the age of 10 is about when you are going to be able to start looking at that. It can be younger, I don't know. I mean, that we have to see. And this is just water, okay? Nothing else.
Sure.
So once they start moving into workplaces and everything, they will bring this culture with them. So I'm saying I'm saying 10 years, but actually it's not 10 years, because you're not just starting with the kid who's 10 years old. You're also doing the 15-year-old. You're obviously doing it in colleges at the 18 years old, at the 20-year-old also. So it's actually not going to happen over 10 years. That a person in college, if you start in colleges, the same thing. So guy who's 18 when he enters college, in the next 5 years he's going to be okay, depending on what qualification they're taking. So in our case, the law degree is 5 years, engineering is 5. How many years, Roof? Engineering?
4 years.
4 years. So depending on that, so maybe I'm 22, 23, the guy's out there in the workplace. So bringing a certain culture with them. So
Hmm.
this is the kind of spread we need from the bottom. What are we now doing on the top? On the top level, on the thing, I've created this network of mediators from around the world. So what are we doing? Those mediators, definitely the ones that I'm putting across, according to me, have the mediator mindset. I've said those. Okay. The attempt being 1,000. Put 1,000 together, and those 1,000 get 1,000. That's a million. So these are a million mediators. These are the children who have the mediator mindset. These mediators also have a mediator mindset, but they're actually out there as professional mediators. So million of those there, and 2.5 million children here. So the whole thing works from both ends. And finally, at some point, I think we'll be able to spread that culture. This is the larger thing. Before that, before you guys come in, let me just show you that video. Give me a minute.
So in general, I think what's distinctive about the American approach to standards, and by standards, I'm thinking more about sort of qualifications, right? In certain countries, you have to be trained as a lawyer, you have to have had certain amount of mediation coursework before you can be approved as a mediator. We don't have any of that in the US, at least not at the public level or the state's level. So the upshot is that anyone can hang a shingle and call themselves a mediator and start taking mediation cases, even without having done any training. Now, in practice, that's very unlikely, right? Because to actually get mediation cases, it's not an easy feat. And you typically have to be affiliated with a court program or a private institution that will actually feed you cases. But our approach in the US has essentially been to leave it up to the market to decide standards, right? So when you're thinking about kind of influencing behavior or shaping the practice of mediation, there are lots of different ways to do that. I think our instinctive approach is often to think of the law or rules or standards as ways of doing that. And that's very, very much kind of top-down approach. And I think in the US, we've had a lot of discussions about sort of what should those standards be? How should they be enforced? And the general consensus here has been that actually the market does a pretty good job at constraining behavior and sending out reputational signals. And that to some degree to centralize all of this and make a government or maybe a non-governmental organization in charge of all of this at the macro level could actually create more problems than it's going to solve. And so it's still a very controversial, I think, position that we've wound up with in the US. There are some people who are really pushing still for some standards in the US, but largely we've relied on the market as a kind of behavior and standard constraining mechanism.
Yes, Ryan, did you hear that?
Yeah, that was really interesting because, like
Exactly.
I said, I've lived in a few different states and I've made inquiries as to how to become a mediator, but it always seems like there's some sort of a process. Maybe it's just because of the states that I've lived
No, it's
in.
not
but
about the states, Ryan. This is the issue around the world. The law is different and how people are being misled is different. This is the problem I hear from UK also, that the same thing, anyone can be a mediator, but they've been told there's something called the Civil Mediation Council, that only if you're registered with them can you be a mediator, which according to me, and that's what I've been told, is not correct. Anyone can be a mediator. It is just that because in a way they've been able to take the market and everyone goes to them to look at the database of mediators, everyone thinks this is the place to be. So we have that part of it. That's why it's important for you people to actually go out in each of your, whatever you are, whichever country you are, whichever state you are, to know the law first of all. So you were going to look at Oklahoma. It's going to be Oklahoma.
yes.
So you'll have a look at it. If you want someone to talk to, we'll have to check who's from that state. We'll find out, not a problem. But I think you do your research on your own first.
Sure.
Right? Talk to the mediators there. You talk to any mediator. I'm sure they're all people with a mediator's mindset are all good people. They will definitely give you time. They'll ask you whatever questions you have. They'll answer those things. But do they know what the law is or not? That we'll have to check. I can't say whether they know or not know. That obviously we'll get to know. It's not difficult. Every Google is there to find out a lot of things. So next time we meet, we need a little more concrete stuff from you guys. What all do you have to do? according to me, at least watch our meetings, the ones that I have posted. Obviously, the ones with these mediators, Ken Cloak and Mr. Akisanya, very good experience as to obviously looking at 40, 50 years of experience for those people. What is the kind of mindset they have, what they are talking about. So are my meetings, these episodes of the evolution of a mediator, I would want you to have a look at that. Then go playlist. Look, it will depend on your interest, and because there's lots of material there. So see what this is. There's the one section on apology and mediation. If it sounds interesting to you, start watching it. Doesn't seem interesting to you, shut it down. No, look, this is not a class that you have to sit in it. You don't like the teacher, but you still have to sit there. You are your own teacher, so you can do what you like. Have a look at everything. Now you think from, this is the larger picture. From your end, what I told you, how do we develop this culture of mediation in the world? Put some thoughts on paper. So discuss that part. And it's all going to be positive. You have anything negative to say, don't say it. Right? Simple. So think of all those things. I've given you the larger statistics. Ryan, you can look at the statistics in the US, because obviously we can do the Google thing. While the meeting was going on, I was doing the Google search then only. It's not difficult. It takes 1 second to find out how many schools there are in the US. So let's do that. Let us look at the population of the US. What is it?
Roughly 325 million at the moment.
Perfect. So I won't check this out. Now we'll say number of schools in US. You guys also do it, yeah? I mean, I'm... What does it say? 2020 figure says it is 16,800 school districts. Okay, in each school district, how many schools are there? They're saying 130,000 K to 12 schools. So look at 130,000. So if 130,000 are there, and the number of students you can look out. Okay, I'm saying for the moment, let's just forget the number of students. If there are 130,000 schools, definitely you need more than one person, one child to be a mediator there. Definitely. Because I don't know how many children there are in each class, in each school, whether we check that out. But we're talking at least.
Districts can vary in sizes drastically.
So this is the number of schools, not the districts. Districts, I told you, districts is different. So this is the number of schools. There's 16,800 school districts and 130,000 schools. So there are about 10, less than 10 average per district. We're not concerned with the district. But what I'm saying is that if you need a 10 in a school, so you're talking about 1.3 million. So we have to get to 1.3 children who have the mediator mindset. Forget the other kids. We're not concerned with the other kids. Other kids, these people will take care of. So we have to reach out and identify those children, those ones with the mediator mindset. So you guys have to think of strategies on how we can do it on a large scale. Come up with anything that you have. Hey, think out of the box. I won't even give you anything. Okay, look at this, look at that. Think out of the box totally. And then let's see how we can start implementing it. And the implementation has to be simple. No complex thing that we have to go get government funding and this. No, we're not concerned with the government. Let the government do what it's doing. I'm sure it's doing a good job. Let the courts do what they're doing. I'm sure they're doing a good job. Our concern is going to be very limited. Our limited is whatever resources we have. So whatever those resources, I won't even say the word, but let me say it. We have social media. How can we use social media to do it? What are the other channels that we can do this? So think of all that. Larger picture. Right? What do you think, Dhruv? Possible? You can do it by the next meeting? 1 week you have. The voice is, I think your volume has gone down majorly.
Hello.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Yeah, I was saying that we can definitely think about how we can reach that target.
Yeah, and it's a work in progress. Yeah, we'll keep doing it. I mean, There is no such one thing that has to be okay. This now we've got this little dose, and now we just this is not. We've got this vaccine now. We just go around giving it to the world.
Definitely.
Things will change. Things will happen. New strains will come. New strains will go. Whatever will keep happening. Yes, Ryan. Next Thursday, same time. So whatever you can bring in, so whatever you can bring in, come with. Let's have concrete thoughts on this, and let's discuss it. We're thrashing it out on. We're not even look. We're not going to be. There's not going to be any negativity. We are not going to pull someone else's idea down just because we don't understand it. Let's try and understand it, because if a person has a thought process, there must be some reason to it.
Definitely.
Yep. So Khushi disappeared. Khushi, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm there.
Yeah, this is not an attendance that you have to put your video on and then go off to sleep. Or you have your
No, sir, I'm cooking actually. So that is why I'm listening to what you're saying.
What are you cooking? What are you cooking? First, tell us that.
I made dal dhokli. It's a Gujarati dish.
That's the worst part. You sit in a meeting and you can't even taste what you're making. That is the saddest part. But I'm sure it's good. Is there any possibility that you can start couriering it to all of us? One dal dhokli for everyone.
I don't mind. Cooking. I love cooking. It's like one of the best things.
Good. That's a good thing. Chalo. So that's basically we got the work for up till next week. Let's discuss. Then let's compare notes. Right?
Yes, sir.
Anything else now, Ryan? Anything about your last words, whatever you want to say? Anything?
Right. It was a pleasure meeting everyone, and thank you for your time, sir. This was a very informative discussion.
Good. Something you've taken back something with you, now. You got something some material to think about. That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. So okay, homework was actually don't forget the other homework. The other one is the Singapore Convention, the Arbitration and Conciliation Act that we have, the UNCITRAL model law. That's another homework part of it. There are two parts that you're doing.
Yes, sir. Understood.
See you then. See you next week then.
Yeah. See you, sir. Bye.
You guys, and if you guys want to attend that, I'll send you an invite for Saturday's thing with Ken Cloak. I'll send you the invite. But okay, Dhruv, you're not connected on LinkedIn
sir.
with me, are you?
Yeah, I actually sent you a follow request.
No, it wasn't. I didn't get it. No, follow. I won't get no. Follow.
I'm probably following you. See, I'm actually new to LinkedIn, so I don't know how to use it.
No, let me see. I'll find you. Give me 1 second. I'll find you.
Yeah, sir.
Because I did not receive anything. No. Dhruv, you are double K. I found a single K.
Oh.
Let me
might have mistyped it.
No. No, I don't. No, it's not there. Are you there? You're there, no?
Yeah.
Somewhere on.
Sir, I will send you his profile.
Perfect. You are student at University of Mumbai. Are you that one?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Let me see. So
you have to update my photo, yes, sir.
And the only mutual connection that we have is Khushi. So definitely
yes,
you're
sir.
the same. You're the same person.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there won't be too many others. So I've sent you the connection. I've sent you the request, the connection thing. Just accept
I'll do
it.
that. Definitely.
So I'll send 3 of you the invite for Saturday. Please come in and let's have a discussion there.
Yeah,
great. Right. Okay, nice meeting all of you. And we'll see you later.
Same here.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, sir. Thank you for your time. Bye, sir.